Hello, my name is. Hey guys. Hello, everyone. Okay, let me get comfortable here. Oh gosh, of course that's going to be glaring in my eyeballs. Hey guys. Okay, so as you can see, we're in Nate's room today, chilling out. Um, Today we have a special guest speaker coming on. I know her as Julia Gulia here on TikTok, but I have to find out her real first name. But she is a nurse practitioner that prescribes Suboxone, and so I thought this would be a great opportunity to have her on. And if you guys have any questions, you can ask her. But yeah, it's just going to be laid back tonight. We're not going to stay on too long because her kids, she's got kids, too. So we're going to get her on here when she goes live. And then we'll talk all about Suboxone. Suboxone treatment, how readily available Suboxone treatment is, that kind of thing. How's everybody's day today? Are y'all doing good? Is everybody in a good headspace? Are y'all staying sober? Is anybody struggling? If you are struggling, that's okay. Everybody has their hard days. I have my days where I just feel like not doing anything, and that was one of those days today. Today, I just relaxed with my family and, watched TV and chilled out. I did have a little bit of a headache earlier, but it has since gone away, so I'm grateful for that. So yeah, come on in, everybody. Come on in, hang out with us tonight. Y'all know every night at 7:30 I go live. And we have either a guest speaker on or I share my experience, strength, and hope. For those of you guys that are new to my TikTok, I do have a YouTube channel. And if you guys are wanting to see more of my videos, you can watch my videos over on my YouTube channel. And you can see where I have, hey Micah, where I have interviewed other people and they've came on and shared their stories. So, yay. Here she comes, you guys. Ah! Sorry. Let's see. Hey, girl.
Hi. Hello.
Okay, so
Hello.
do I call you Julia?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Because I was like, I don't know if that's her real name, and I don't want to say that and it not be that. You know what I mean?
It is. That is my real name. That's my real name. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you great. Can you hear me?
Okay? Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm super excited to have you on because, I'm not a medical professional. I'm just somebody who advocates for Suboxone, and I'm also on Suboxone. So a lot of the times when I'm sharing what I share, I guess people don't take it as seriously because I'm not a doctor or a nurse or a nurse practitioner. And so I was looking forward to having you on because I just kind of wanted to ask you some questions. And then if anybody in the comment section had any questions, I would pull those questions from there. So to get started, could you share with us a little bit about what inspired you to start working and helping people by prescribing Suboxone?
Well, I used to work on the south side of Chicago at a Medicare, uninsured, underinsured clinic. And our chief medical officer begged me to get certified because he really wanted to offer this because we have 6 clinics and we weren't offering it at all. And me and him were supposed to do it together for these 6 clinics, but he ended up resigning and leaving by the time we got it up and going because we did get a grant. We had a social worker that was kind of involved, and we got an addiction counselor. So I helped. I was the prescriber for 6 clinics, the only one for quite a while.
That's a lot of work.
And it was. It was really exciting though because it's still open and operating now, and now there's a whole bunch more medical providers that are certified now. When I left, I trained 3 nurse practitioners to take my place when I moved on to my next clinic. So I at least knew I was leaving 3 extra people that weren't prescribing before to prescribe. But on top of that, besides the fact that he asked me specifically to do this, um, I mean, I've lost countless family members and friends and acquaintances to overdoses. So it felt appropriate to try and combat things because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, and I feel like a little. My mom's a recovering alcoholic. I don't know. I feel like, and she was a social worker too. So I feel like a little tie to helping people that really need help. And Lord knows there's not enough prescribers for Suboxone. There are only 81,000 prescribers in the United States per SAMHSA as of like last year. And that includes all MDs, NPs, and PAs.
Wow.
So if you do the math and there's waiver limits, most of those people probably only have 30 patient waivers. I have a 100 patient waiver. The max you can have is 250. And then a lot of those are probably not even using their waiver out of those numbers. So, and then if you look at the millions of people that are needing treatment, the math doesn't add up. So, we need more prescribers in case
How
anybody's
do you
watching that prescribes.
how do you get certified to be able to prescribe Suboxone? Like, what do you have to go through to get that certification?
Well, ironically, as long as you have a DEA and a controlled substance license, you can write for buprenorphine, which is Suboxone, or
Oh,
part of Suboxone, for pain management. As long as it's identified for pain management, I do not need anything special. As soon as you identify the reason for the medication being opioid use disorder treatment, you then need a waiver. So it's
oh.
really unfortunate because there I can give it for pain without a waiver, but I can't for to treat it to treat
Well,
opioid use disorder.
do
So
a
you get
lot
it through the SAMSHA, so
of
the Substance Abuse National website, and it's free. You just have to go to an 8-hour class in person. That MDs are done once they do the 8-hour class. PAs and NPs do need to do another 16 hours online. It's easy. And as soon as you're done, you apply for it. And literally, like 2 days later, I got an email saying I was good to go. Um, and, I think it's a good resume, you know, makes you
I think it's
invaluable, I think.
amazing that people I am so passionate about Suboxone and because it saved my life. Because I had tried to get sober for like over 10 years through abstinence because here where I live in Arkansas, like the treatment centers here are way behind the treatment centers in California or New York or Chicago. So it was never even offered to me to get on Suboxone for my opiate addiction the 6 times I went through rehab. And so the last time I
Wow.
went through it, my husband had gotten on Suboxone and he told me, I've done this before. It works for me. I was able to stay sober and I had just been like only taught the 12 steps and so I was so against it. But I ended up giving it a shot and I did it and I've been sober ever since. Had no problems, no relapses, and I could
That's
never
amazing.
do that before, ever. I mean, I was a chronic relapser. And
That's
so
amazing.
I'm so passionate about helping people find Suboxone resources, telemedicine, helping them find ways to pay for their medication, all that kind of stuff. And so I try to I do work with Dr. B who prescribes in California Suboxone,
I
but
love watching him.
I just answer the phones for him. Like I don't work in the clinic, I'm kind of like
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
I guess you could say I'm like a glorified secretary slash personal assistant, but I get to talk to people all the time that are wanting to get on Suboxone. And so
That's
I get
great.
to share with them, hey, I'm on Suboxone too. It helped me a lot. And if they have any questions, I can share with them my personal experience.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I think it's great.
what would you
That's awesome.
say is the most challenging thing about working with people who struggle with substance use disorder?
Oh, well. um,
There's a lot.
you know, for the most part, I mean, they're just well, it's in primary care, right? So the hardest part for me isn't actually the patient at all. It's the workload. I'm still expected to see 25 patients a day. It doesn't matter if they're opioid use disorder patients or not. So we would try to dedicate certain days and parts of the shift to that patient population, because obviously we're expecting people to be late. We do expect to need to tie up rooms longer, because we would rotate through with the social worker and the addiction counselor. We all just kind of took turns in the rooms. So that worked well there. Where I am now, we're struggling here, because they're very behind. They have not
Yeah.
offered this in primary care ever until I got there, and that was still a struggle. Um, you know what? Besides patients kind of disappearing for a while, yeah, that's always the hardest. I think
Yeah.
mostly on me, because I don't know what happened. And I don't know if they're coming back, and I may never know the answer to that. It is amazing, though. It is so rewarding when you have patients that are in recovery for a really long time. One of the first patients I treated at my old clinic, she is still sober. I consider it sober, even
Yeah,
if
me
you're on
too.
Suboxone. And she had recruited 2 of her friends, and all 3 of them have never relapsed, and it has been 3 years now. So it's amazing. It's amazing.
That
So
is
it's
amazing.
really rewarding. But yeah, so the disappearing, that's scary. Or like if they miss an appointment, there is a part of you that wonders, are they
Did they
okay?
relapse?
You know?
Yes, I know
So
what you mean. Like, did they relapse? Or are they going to come back? Did something bad happen? And then when they do come back, or they call and they say, "Oh, I just couldn't make it because I didn't have enough money," then I feel like bad, because I want to. This is the problem I have, because I answer the phones. I'm like, "Oh well, I overstep sometimes," and I'm like, I want to help them pay for their appointment, but then I'm like, Nicole, you can't do that, because then you'd be paying for everybody's appointment. You know what I
right.
mean?
No, and you're right.
It
You're
pulls at
right.
my heart so hard. But I do remember when me and my husband first got sober with Suboxone, we had to pay out of pocket, both of us, and so that was $200 a piece for the visit, plus the
Wow.
medication. So we were paying $400 for the visits, and then another $100 to $200 for our medication. So it's like eight hundred
No
dollars.
wonder. I've had people ask me why I don't go into private practice and do a Suboxone clinic, and they're telling me these prices, and that's heartbreaking. I
Yeah.
can't. I couldn't. I don't even think I could have charged that. I mean, even if that's what I needed to pay my rent for a clinic, that's ridiculous. I can't even imagine.
The clinic I
Because
go
let
to
alone the
now,
medication alone is super expensive.
it is. And the clinic I go to now, they just started. I've been with them the whole time, the whole 6 years I've been sober. They just now started taking insurance. So I'm just now getting a break to where I'm only paying like $60 for my appointment. You know what I mean? Which is a
Wow.
miracle. I'm so happy about
Wow.
it. But what about
I'm
those people
sure.
who don't have insurance and will never get insurance? It's super expensive, and so hopefully there'll be more grants and things that can help people to pay for their medication.
I was lucky at our uninsured, underinsured clinic. We did a sliding scale for uninsured patients. So, like for example, I had a gentleman who had to pay cash. He did not have insurance, but he made too much for Medicaid. So he would pay, I think it was like $40 an appointment, whatever. But then he had to go to Walgreens next and pay
Uh-huh.
God knows what for his medication. But yeah, we thank God didn't charge an arm and a leg. I mean, it was sliding scale.
Yeah.
So there is some places that aren't that expensive, but I mean, they're going to be hard to find because there's limits on the waivers,
Right.
and
Right.
there's very limited providers too. So yeah.
Can you share with everyone, because I know there might be people in here who are like, what are they talking about? What's Suboxone? Can you share with everybody what Suboxone is and how it helps people that struggle with opiate, addiction?
Sure. So there's opioid receptors in your brain. And when you use opioids, whether it be prescribed medications or illegal substances, um, they connect with the opioid receptors. And obviously, that's what gives you pain relief, or, for some people, they want to get high off of that feeling. Um, when you take away that opioid for that opioid receptor, that is when you start having terrible withdrawals, which obviously people try to avoid. So, Suboxone is a mixture of buprenorphine and Narcan. I just naloxone. Okay, so it's pain medication combined with Narcan. So the buprenorphine, the reason why it's so special, the reason why it's being used, because it is a pain medication still. It's still an opioid.
Uh-huh.
It's going to bind with the opioid, and it's going to create a ceiling effect where you're going to get pain relief and you're not going to have withdrawals, and you're going to get that satisfaction because that receptor's connected, but you won't have the same euphoria and the high. You won't get high.
Right.
There's plenty of people that try Suboxone on the street thinking they're going to get high, and if they're not regular users, they may get a little bit high, but after regular use, they're going to be very disappointed. And then the Narcan's in there, obviously, to protect the user. And if you use it too close to your last use of another opioid, you will put yourself in precipitated withdrawals, which is awful.
So have you ever had anybody be in precipitated withdrawal at at your office or anything?
Not at my office, because we usually let them do home inductions. So they take it home, because who wants to be in withdrawals at home or in public,
Yeah.
But I've had a few, because we really, really try to stress that, like it's not like we don't care when you use less, but it does really matter with this medicine.
Right. Right.
It's not personal. I don't care when you used, but and some of them have learned the hard way because
I cannot tell you how many people reach out to me every single day and tell me that the reason why they haven't got on Suboxone is because the one time that they did try to get on it, they put themselves in precipitated withdrawal. And
that is one huge education piece. We lecture, besides the fact it's a controlled substance. You're not supposed to give people controlled substances, that's not prescribed to you. We say, do not do that. Have them come to the clinic, because you could be trying to do something good by getting your friend or your loved one to not have withdrawals or get them on treatment. You think you're doing a good thing. If you don't do the right education with them, you could make it the worst experience ever. And then you lost that. I mean, they don't want to do it again. So yes, we have a big talk about that, because I get it. If I was at home with it and I had a loved one that's withdrawing, I'd be like, hey, take this. I mean, you're just trying to help people, because Lord knows there's not that much street value for it. So, that's not what we're worried about. But we just don't want to ruin a possibility of using that as a treatment for that one person.
That's what happens, though, because they'll call me or they'll message me here on TikTok and they'll say, my friend gave me a Suboxone and yada, yada, yada. And at first, if the person uses the Suboxone and they get on it and they're like, I've been buying it off the street, I try not to shame them, but I'm like, we got to get you in to get yourself a legal prescription, because what happens if your buddy that's been selling it to you runs out, or he says, screw you, I don't want to give you any more Suboxone. And then you've worked so hard to stay sober using the Suboxone, and now you're back at square one, up shit creek without a paddle,
Right.
But it's like it's hard to break those behaviors, because when I first got onto Suboxone, I struggled with overtaking my medication. I thought, I'm going to take more. It's going to make me feel better. I wouldn't feel anything. It wouldn't make me feel high or anything.
Because there's the ceiling effect. So yeah, you learn that it's not going to do anything.
I'd be at work and I'd be like, I need more energy. I'm going to take one more piece. And then I would go to my doctor because I would run out early. And he'd go, what's going on, Nicole? Why are you running out early? And I would tell him what I was doing. And he was like, he said, this is what he said, because I was on 8 milligrams. He goes, because you're doing that, I'm going to put you up to 12. Okay. Because what I'm hearing you tell me is that you're taking half of an 8 milligram extra all the time.
Right.
And he said, but you really need to understand that taking more isn't going to make you feel any different. And he really helped me to understand that because he told me about the ceiling effect that it reaches in my brain, and that as long as I stay on the same amount, that I'm going to be fine. I just need to stay at that same level amount and not keep myself going up and down, up and down. But it was a battle in my mind because I had gotten so used to taking other drugs and thinking I need more, more, more to make me feel better, you know?
Well, I have the same issues with chronic pain patients. So people that are not opioid use disorder, they just may be, dependent because they're taking chronic pain medications prescribed, is hoarding medication.
Yeah.
You are afraid to run out. And I actually totally sympathize with this. I have ADHD. So I have to go through the task of every 30 days asking my provider for a refill of my controlled substance. And you do start getting really, really protective of it. And you're like,
Yeah.
ooh, can I, let me get, oh, good, I have another 7 days extra just in case, like I forget to call. I mean, and I'm like, I feel for people when they're trying to prepare to not run out on top of it. But yes, overusing definitely is just speak up, talk to your provider. If they've been trained well enough and they're a decent human being, they should know that they should increase your medication.
Yeah.
Obviously, as long as you're not going above the highest recommended dose. Um, One education thing that I've really have been pushing at my employer because people are very unfamiliar with Suboxone is um, it is recommended to get a patient with chronic pain. So if you have opioid use disorder
Uh-huh.
and chronic pain, to get them to 24 milligrams as fast as possible because they will not have pain relief until they reach the 24 milligram threshold. Um, and that's really big because what do a lot of people that have chronic pain with opioid use disorder, they quit after a while because their
Yeah.
pain's not managed. They may not be in withdrawals, but they're not getting, that's why they were taking the opioid usually to begin with in that situation. So is educating that they need to go higher. And I know these providers are kind of freaked out when they hear
Yeah.
what
And most
24
providers
milligrams.
don't want to go over 16 milligrams a lot. Is that what that's what I've been hearing a lot of people tell me recently.
I
Do
think
you
people are just nervous.
have you had
You know what? And I would say when I was the only provider, I didn't even have anybody to talk to about it.
mhm.
I was really nervous too. I mean, I was really lucky though that I had been accepted at Chicago. Rush University had a fellowship, and I was able to go to it. It was like 9 months long. And I got much more comfortable, like listening to people that actually prescribe this every day and they've been doing it for years push the medications we should be using for withdrawal symptoms and the dosages we should be doing, and it made you a little more comfortable, like okay, oh okay, I can go, it's okay to go up above
Yeah.
what
Do
I've been
you
doing.
see do you see a lot of people coming to you to use Suboxone for pain management? Because I get mixed feedback from the chronic pain community. I hear some say Suboxone is amazing. It's helped me so much with my pain. And then I hear a lot of chronic pain patients saying Suboxone is inferior. It does not help my pain. It's horrible.
Probably because they aren't dosed high enough. I bet you any money. Or they didn't give it a fair shot. The
Yeah.
biggest issue I have currently, because I take a lot of the chronic pain patients, obviously, also, um, or their providers send them to me and I try to discuss it with them because maybe they're on like crazy amounts of Oxycontin and oxycodone and, it's just incredible amounts, even if they have legit pain.
Mhm.
We obviously would like them off that. Um, and they know what it is. So that tarnishes it right away. So I try to use the generic name, the buprenorphine. And then as soon as they're like, wait, is this Suboxone? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, They're like, oh, no, I know what it's for. Do you think I'm an addict? And I'm like, no, time out, like time. Like I'm trying to do
So
the education part.
you guys don't put
But
it on them that they're an addict. You put it that they're using it for pain relief,
yes,
for
for
chronic
chronic pain.
pain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. But
I think,
it's if they know about it, they think
yeah.
we're privately labeling them that, and I'm like, no, that's not that's not what we're doing. We're just trying to make sure you don't overdose by accident, and manage your pain at the same time. So it's very a lot of them are very resistant to, first of all, change their regimen because they are satisfied, most of
Yeah.
them, on these incredibly high amounts of opioids. Um, and they don't want to mess that up. They have a good regimen. That, or they are, yeah, they're not happy because they know what else it's used for,
Yeah.
and they just won't even try it. They won't try it. They're like, nope, not doing it. And that's so frustrating, terribly frustrating.
I imagine it's probably also frustrating because it seems like the laws have changed around prescribing opiates, and so it's like providers have their hands tied a little bit to where they can't be as lenient as they were, a couple of years
Oh yeah,
ago, and so then you want to do the best you can to make your patient comfortable and make sure they don't have pain, but then also you have to make sure that you're being safe, and it kind of
right.
puts you between a rock and a hard place. I mean, I
It
don't know
does.
because I don't prescribe, but I hear other people talking about that and telling me how they went to their doctor and their doctor can't prescribe them opiates anymore and they had to send them away somewhere else, or their doctor just doesn't want to do it anymore because of maybe they heard something happen to one of their doctor friends that was prescribing, and so they got scared and decided to stop.
Oh yeah, especially with all the DEA, and then all the crackdowns they've been doing, with lawsuits and
Yeah.
whatnot. And I mean, there was a lot of abuse, obviously, that happened too in the '90s and 2000s with those medications. So, I mean, I kind of get how things got so strict, but it's not working. So,
Right.
I think the CDC put out a research thing this past year, basically admitting that their war on opioids by what they did failed completely.
Yeah.
So they didn't help anything. They basically just turned a whole bunch of people that were taking opioids prescribed and let them loose on the street, which then they needed to turn around and buy either fake pills or heroin. So
Yeah.
that's basically what they did instead.
It's so sad. I hate, I was an addict because I was young and I started using drugs with my friends.
Sure.
I can't blame a doctor or anything like that. Anytime I did get narcotics from a doctor, I went in with a plan. I knew I was going to get that doctor to give me narcotics. So I was
Sure.
just kind of like it was peer pressure. I thought it was cool. I started getting high when I was 17. Then the next thing you know, I woke up and I was 30 something years old and I didn't have a life and I had lost everything that mattered to me. And so I was like, damn, I need to make a change. Um,
For sure.
but
For
Suboxone really
sure.
did save my life. Before I let you go, because I know you have little ones, could you share with everybody when prescribing Suboxone, when a person gets on Suboxone, how important it is for them to not just get on Suboxone for their substance use, but to also
Sure.
get into some other programs? And what would you recommend?
Well, um, I am a huge advocate for mental health assistance. Though it's really cool that I get to treat people in primary care where they don't feel like they're in an addiction, setting or mental health. They're a little more accepting sometimes of getting help because it's not that setting. I still absolutely recommend psychiatry and counseling. Because obviously we were self-medicating for a reason, and I get it. I'm thankful I didn't become an addict just like some of my friends did. I mean, it's
Yeah.
easy to do. So they're self-medicating for a reason, right? So obviously there's some unresolved trauma, there's something else going on, and that's great if we get you off illegal substances or overusing prescription substances. Um, but that underlying problem is just going to be sitting there, and at some point it's going to surface again, um, and then you're back to most likely relapsing and starting the whole process all over again. Um, and, and I say this to my mental health patients as well, not even just my Suboxone patients, is counseling. Medication is only part of it. You have to do counseling too, because the medicine's helping your physical body, but nothing's helping your mental body. um, I know meetings are great. it's hard because I know some meetings are awesome with people with Suboxone, and
Mm-hmm.
there's others that are really anti-Suboxone and really shame people, which is awful to hear. There is an organization called MARA, MARA,
Yeah.
and they are Suboxone focused. There is zero, anywhere near Chicagoland. So, because I looked
There's
into
not
that.
any in Chicago.
Um,
There's
there's
not
not.
any Mira
There's like the closest is like Indianapolis. I think is
Dang.
the closest one. Yeah, yeah. Because I looked it up. Because when I found out about it, I was like, this is really cool. Yeah, there's none by me. But yeah, I mean, it was devastating. COVID was devastating when I heard that meetings weren't face to face anymore. Because the number one reason I ask all of my patients that relapse, I say, what happened? I'm just curious. I just want to know so I can help somebody else, avoid this. Every single one was they were bored.
Yep.
Every single one. I never heard I was stressed or this happened or that happened. Never. It was always that they were bored. And so we'd come up with ways, meetings, volunteering, church, whatever it may be, work, to stay busy. And then when that got taken away, we feared greatly for our patients because that was a filler of their time. And so even if you're not into 12 steps or you're not religious, it's a way to be around healthy people, first of
Yeah.
all, and stay busy. That's the other part of it all, because as soon as you're, I don't know, not busy, you're going to start thinking about it. And then the next thing you know, you're doing it. And I mean, yeah, the 12 steps. I mean, you could also look into other organizations. Like there's like Codependency Anonymous
Yep.
and like
Yep.
some other really specialized ones. If you have other stuff going on that you're, dealing with, because again, we have underlying trauma most likely. But yeah, just doing something, anything, all of it, if you
2020
can.
2020 was a hard year for a lot of people in the addiction community. I remember because I was on YouTube. I didn't come to TikTok until October of 2020. So the first of 2020, I went into overdrive on my YouTube channel, and we were doing meetings every day, sometimes twice a day. I was live streaming so we could have meetings, and it would be a packed house, like 40, 50 people in the live stream, because there was no meetings going on. And so many of my friends relapsed. And my
Oh
husband
yeah,
relapsed. My husband relapsed in
sure,
2020. That was hard because he was struggling. And of course, I supported him through that. And now he's, been sober for 7 months and he's doing amazing.
great.
It was hard going through that, watching him struggle, going through it with him for me to stay sober, and then try to be helping people online to have an outlet to go to meetings with my YouTube channel. So I was working my ass off in 2020 to stay sober. But
Well, I appreciate
that's
it
how
because
I
they needed it.
I'm a psycho when it comes to consistency. Like I am obsessed with like just doing what I say I'm going to do when I say I'm going to do it,
Well, thanks. I'm
especially
glad you do.
especially when I know I
I'm
have people
glad.
that are depending on me to be here, like they look
Yeah.
forward to it. They know Nicole's going to come on at 7:30. So, and that helps me stay accountable.
Now, COVID did do one good thing, even though it really caused a lot of deaths in the opioid community. It did open up legally and insurance wise the ability to expand telehealth now
Yes.
for opioid disorder. There's no more forced requirements for UDSs, urine drug screens. The day of your appointment, like, because that's a typical program. So there was some really positive things like that happened, but I don't think the consequences, I think, are going to be when those numbers come in, it's going to be heartbreaking. I do have to say before I leave, there's a few things I always make sure I lecture all of my patients on. I'm a big harm reduction person. Number one is if you are listening and you are purchasing pills off the street, and this goes for any pill, okay? Drug dealers are awesomely smart, and they are going to make them look identical to what you're used to taking. They're going to make sure it's the same color. They're going to stamp it the same. It'll be the same size because they can sell it for more if it's authentic, right?
Right.
All of them. Every single pill, Xanax, Oxy, whatever, it is cut with fentanyl. Every single one. every single one. Do not think, oh, well, no, I know who I got it from,
Right.
whatever. No, all of them. All of them are cut with fentanyl. That's it. I know in Chicago, our EMS reported that it's taking 2 to 3 doses of Narcan to revive people based on the designer drugs that are on the market at the moment. So please keep your Narcan on you. I definitely lecture that. I know in Chicago it's really cold out a lot, so I always tell them, keep it on the inside of your jacket, but tell everybody where it is. It's
Yeah.
not helpful if nobody knows where it is. But and feel free to use it on somebody else. I'll always refill it for somebody. But it may take 2 to 3 doses. With that said, is always call 911 if somebody around you overdoses, because even if you revive them with the Narcan, they can re-overdose. As soon as that Narcan wears off, if the opioid is still too high in their system, you are really screwed. Where they could have been at
Wow,
least in the
really?
ER.
I've
Yes,
heard that
absolutely.
before. So basically, they give you
Re-overdosing.
the Narcan, and then it can, if you had a lot of fentanyl in your system, it can kind of wear off, and then you can be back overdosed.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
And you just wasted precious time that they could be with somebody that could intubate them. Furthermore, is Suboxone is a much safer medication than traditional opioids, but it is still, there is a risk involved. I actually have a close friend who passed away from Suboxone because he decided to use Xanax one night and drink a beer while playing video games.
Mm,
And we did find him. He had suffocated himself by passing out. And he is no longer with us. And it's sad because he was on Suboxone. So do not use benzos and alcohol with Suboxone, please, 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 because it is still an opioid and it's not a miracle. I mean, the Narcan's in there to a point.
right.
Narcan's not going to help benzos or alcohol. That's the problem. So if you have too many downers, you're still in trouble. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I just have to make sure I do that
I
lecture.
really thank you so much, and I'm trying to learn more about harm reduction, because like I said, I come from the old school where you just don't use, period. You know,
The
and so
best way I word it, because I get a lot of resistance, because they're like, what are you doing? You're trying, telling people to use, and I'm like, well, no, I'm. What is addiction?
we want
The
them to
the
be safe.
definition alone is chronic relapse. I mean, it's hallmarked by chronic relapse. So, though I'm not expecting my patient to relapse, I would like them not to. Odds are not in their favor. Plus, the more and more times I'm telling them different harm reduction measures, they may be telling other people. They
Yeah,
may use it themselves. And I'm just trying to keep people alive until they're sick of that lifestyle and they want to get treatment themselves, which eventually usually happens. Um, and I had one thought earlier that I just came back to in my head. My old clinic, the only patients I ever had overdose in front of me were not my opioid use disorder patients. They were methadone patients. They would come
yeah.
in after getting their methadone and they would use, and then I would find them in the clinic's exam rooms when I come to see them overdosing. So that
Is
I
that
mean,
because
historically,
you
at
can
least
use? Is that because you
you
can
can.
use on top of methadone?
You can. Yes.
Okay, because I
Yes. You
that's what it
can.
is, and
Because
then
there's no Narcan or anything built into it.
they just go out and they get the methadone, and if it's not holding them over, they get something else, and then they end up overdosing.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I mean, methadone's a great option still.
Yeah,
Obviously, that's why they only give it to you in like, day to 2 day amounts. But there is that risk.
yeah.
There's that risk. So, mm.
I feel so honored that you came on here, and I know, I do like set Dr. B up with interviews and stuff, and I was wondering, like, I was talking to him, and I'm talking to you now. Y'all could get together, like, on a panel, a provider panel, one night on his
I would
YouTube
love
channel.
to.
Okay,
I remember when I first found his page, we actually did send some messages back and forth, and he was all excited because I had done Rush Fellowship and he had
yes,
done his schooling at Rush. And I was like, oh, how about that? So, oh, I'd love to. I'd love to.
okay.
Anytime, anytime. I can talk about this for hours.
I'm gonna give my boss Austin is the one who sets up all of Dr. B's like guests on his channel. So I'll have Austin reach out to you, and then we'll get you guys together because we do a live stream on Dr. B's channel every Monday, and so we're
Ah,
always looking for new guests to have on. With him, it's Dr. B and Param, and Param is a family therapist and specializes in addiction also, and then Dr. B, and so it would be awesome to have you on there with them.
sounds great.
So
Sounds
I will
great. I
have
look
Austin
forward.
reach out to you. Thank you so much for coming on and just talking with me tonight and helping everybody learn more about Suboxone. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
All right.
Anytime.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye.
Whoop, whoop. Yes, your girl's out here reaching out to providers, y'all. We got us a provider coming on Real Talk Recovery tonight. That was awesome. Julia, thank you so much if you see this. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us and helping us learn more and more about medication assisted treatment and how it helps other people. Because I know it helped me, you guys. I'm telling you, I used to be so ashamed and so embarrassed that I was on Suboxone. For the longest time, I thought my recovery wasn't valid. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't really sober. I shouldn't be sharing my story. And, it wasn't until the second or third year in my recovery and when I met Dr. B and I started learning more about Suboxone, and I started learning about how many other people were on Suboxone and how many people it was helping, that really helped give me confidence in the pathway that I chose. And so I hope by having her on, and so you guys can hear it from the, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse practitioner, I'm not a provider. And so, you guys hear what I say, but when you hear it from somebody who's actually walking the walk and providing it to people, I hope that helps you guys, those of you guys that had questions. I don't know what Mr. Jeezy was talking about in there. I seen him commenting, you capitalizing on people's sorrow, man. I have no idea what he's talking about. Do you guys know what he's talking about? Thank you, Nick. Your band, Mackenzie. Oh, no. Thank you, Kayla. Hey, Axel. Hey, Missy. Hey, Diana. Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about, y'all. I don't know how we're capitalizing on people's misery over here. We just have people on to share their stories. So I'm going to download this and put it up on my YouTube channel. So if you missed the live tonight, it'll be up on my YouTube channel. Neil's off work tonight, you guys. So I'm going to go relax with him and spend time with my husband. And then tomorrow, what's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Friday. Tomorrow, Ashley. Tomorrow, that chick Ashley, I know y'all know who I'm talking about. She has the piercing right here and the blonde hair or brown hair with blonde highlights. I think her account is that chick Ashley. She's going to come on tonight and share, or tomorrow night, and share her story. And then I'm trying to get Chrissy from Skya Chrissy to come on and share about her recovery because she's on methadone. So I want her to share her MAT journey. Okay. So we got plans. We got people coming on to share their story tomorrow night and hopefully Saturday night too. Hey, Travi, I love you too. I love all you guys. Okay. And I'm trying to share more about Suboxone and more about harm reduction here on my account. So if you guys start to notice that I'm uploading videos about harm reduction, I'm uploading little short 7 to 15 second videos about facts about Suboxone. That's why. For those of you guys that didn't see, I uploaded part 21 to my part 21 of my life story to my TikTok. Check it out. And also, if you want to do recovery coaching with us, you can join my Patreon. You just click the link in the bio and let me know when you join, and I'll add you to our group text, okay? I love you guys. Axel, Renee. Axel, I want to talk to you tomorrow at noon. Renee, I want to talk to you tomorrow at 1. Be prepared to be on the phone with me for at least 45 minutes. Bring pens and pieces of paper and be ready to tell me your life story. Axel, be ready to do your homework. I love you guys. I'm so proud of you guys. Thank you, everyone, for being there for me and supporting me. And I just love y'all. Do we love them, Nate?
Yeah.
We just love y'all. We just love you. Tell them you love them now. Tell them you love them.
I love you guys.
See, even Nate loves y'all.
Look
Look how cute my boy is. Look how big he's getting.
Not big.
Look at that beautiful boy.
Well, my knee isn't big.
That's a beautiful boy right there. I'll see y'all tomorrow, okay? I love y'all. Bye.
You make me